Welcome to Life Lessons from Srimad Bhagavatam. Today we will be continuing with the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam. Specifically, we will be discussing chapter 89. This is one of the very last chapters of the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, and that is a significant, important milestone for us who have been on this Bhagavatam study journey. And so I'll chant some verses of invocation just as some of our participants arrive, and then we'll be ready to get started. Not sure what's happening on Instagram. I don't quite see the live feed yet, but hopefully the image will come up soon enough. Oh no, so I think I might have to create that again for Instagram. There we go. What does it say? There we go. Okay, we are online. Welcome to you for joining. And let me chant some verses of invocation. Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1, Chapter 2, Verse 4. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Sri Vyasadeva, the author. Canto 1, Chapter 2, Verse 17. Rinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Vidyantasto Hyavadrani Vidu Noti Suhit Satam. Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, is the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Text 18. Nastatrai vabhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Welcome, Achyutananda. Thank you for joining us from the UK. Achyutananda says Hari Bol. Shama Manjari is with us from South Africa. Shama Manjari says Hari Krishna, Shri Prahlad Prabhuji. Welcome, Shama Manjari. Thank you for being here. And Kirtida joins us from Norway, sending pranams, sending a flower offering and gratitude. Welcome, Kirtida. Thank you for being here. On Instagram, we have some participants as well. Innocent Batamins says Jai Ho, Hari Krishna Prabhuji. And then Krishna Bhakt 2299 says, in India, it's nighttime at 1:30 a.m. Well, thank you so much for joining so early in the morning, Krishna Bhakt. That is quite something. Let's see. Frenchie Davy is with us as well. Batra 3699, Joshua. Batamin says Hare Krishna Prahlad Prabhuji. And we have Manoj Singh UK02 with us. Thank you all for being here. It is an honor, a pleasure to have your association as we discuss Srimad Bhagavatam. So our topic today is Brighu's test. This is a very famous story. You may or may not know. You may or may not have known that it comes from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Here at the end of the 10th canto, we had the story of Vrikasura establishing how Krishna deals differently with his devotees. He's not like the demigods who easily becomes pleased or angered and may fulfill desires that are not actually beneficial for the worshipper. So here's another story establishing Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Brighu's test. It's an interesting story because I know you've heard the argument. Srila Prabhupada, he would often say, we understand God, something of God, through hearing, not through our senses, not through our intellectual capacity, but by hearing with humility, shabda, we're able to receive transcendental knowledge. That's true. Prabhupada makes that argument over and again. He wants to establish that we learn about Krishna from Shastra. That said, we have something interesting here where perception also has its place. It's not our primary evidence, but there is a place for perception. Even in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Pratyaksha vagamam dharmyam susukam kartulavyam. I quote this verse very often, where Krishna is saying, you will know that this process works by how it makes you feel. You will feel very happy. And so with your own senses, you will perceive this happiness and you will have evidence of this process. So from your own life, you can see that when you chant, when you serve, and when you love Krishna, you feel peace, you feel purified, you feel a sense of happiness. Today, we're going to learn about a sage who does an experiment and arrives at this conclusion as well. And he reports his findings back to another group of sages, and they're all very happy with his learning and conclusion, and they all take to Vaishnava Bhakti, the worship of Lord Vishnu. So it's a famous story, and it's found here at the end of the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam in chapter 89. We'll be discussing verses 1 through to 20 of this chapter. Om namo bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate Vasudevaya. 3 topics. 1, controversy among the sages. 2, Brighu's test. 3, the sages conclude. So let's dive in. Controversy among the sages. It's the first 2 verses of this chapter. Sukadeva Goswami describes how once a group of sages were performing Vedic sacrifices on the bank of the sacred river Saraswati. Gangachaya Yamuna Cheva Godavari Saraswati Nama Bande Do Chalasvin Saidin Guru. 7 holy rivers of India. One of them is Saraswati. And so these sages, they are doing their sadhana, their bhajan on the bank of the Saraswati. Now, where else do we know about the bank of the Saraswati? Where else do we have some discussion about this Saraswati river and its bank? In the Bhagavatam, in the very beginning, first canto. Vyasadeva has his ashram in Badri, in the Himalayas, on the bank of the Saraswati river. So we might even have a sense that this is where this gathering of sages takes place. It doesn't tell us specifically. It says on the bank of the Saraswati. At other places where it describes the bank of the Saraswati, it also refers to Badrikashram as well. And so yeah, we can surmise possibly at Badrikashram there's a gathering of sages, and or at least nearby, and there is a controversy that arises among the sages. And this controversy concerns the supremacy of 1 out of 3 deities. So 3 devatas, and the question is, which of these 3 is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So who are the three? The Trimurti, Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu. And so these learned sages, they have different opinions. Sometimes it says as many sages, as many opinions, and they're unable to reach a consensus among them. And so they decide to hand over to Brighu, the son of Lord Brahma, that he will go out and undertake some investigation to identify who among these three is the supreme personality of Godhead. So we can pause here and reflect, and we can consider how even among the sages there may be disagreement. And so from this we can have a sense that moments of doubt or disagreement, that shouldn't surprise us because it's the material world. What we learn here, something beautiful, is the sages' willingness to seek truth. So rather than being fixed and dogmatic, there is a sense of humility and a pursuit of truth. That is called Vad in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, among forms of philosophical debate, I am Vad. Vad means the seeking of truth, as opposed to when you're just trying to make your view, establish your point, to defeat some opponent. And so there's something for us to learn in this. In our spiritual journey, questions are natural. Seeking answers with sincerity will lead us to profound revelation. So we maintain that humility and with deeper insight. Okay, let's continue then. Our second topic, Brighu's test, verses 3 to 13. Brighu first went to Brahmalok, to the court of Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is his father. And so he entered Lord Brahma's assembly, and rather than follow the proper etiquette of entering that assembly, offering obeisances, standing with folded hands with some humility to glorify Lord Brahma with some prayers, rather than do any of that, Brighu, he basically showed some insolence. He refused to bow down. He refused to offer any glorification, and that made Lord Brahma angry. He, Brahma, he is in charge of Rajagun. He's in charge of the mode of passion. And so he became very angry. There was a fury that was inflamed within him. But then Brahma checked himself. So he noticed that this anger toward his son was rising in his heart. And so what he did was he applied his intelligence to pacify his anger. And Sukadeva Goswami says, in the same way that fire is extinguished by its own product, water, similarly, by intelligence, Brahma was able to extinguish his anger. That's a nice lesson for us when we find that we are overcome by emotion, anger, greed, lust, and we can follow Brahma's example here and apply our intelligence to pacify that emotion. If we understand, I am not this mind, I am not this emotion, I am not angry, I am I'm a spirit soul. I'm Sri Prahlad, I am, who do we have here? I'm Kirtida, I'm Krishangi, I'm Sri Gandharvika, I'm Shyama Manjari, I'm Achyutananda. So I'm not this emotion, I'm a spirit soul. So Brahma, he was able to control his emotion, but already he had failed Brigu's test. Brighu had his answer. And so he left. And his next stop was Mount Kailash. Who resides in Mount Kailash? That is Mahadev, Lord Shiva. So he went to the abode of Lord Shiva. Now, Lord Shiva, he is a son of Brahma. So when he saw Brighu approaching, he was very happy. He ran forward to embrace his brother, but Brighu refused his embrace. And he said, "You are a deviant heretic. I don't want to embrace you." This made Lord Shiva very angry. His eyes burned ferociously. He took his trident and he was preparing to punish Brighu when Goddess Devi fell at his feet and she spoke some words, "Pacify." And this gave Brighu his answer. He's obviously being very provocative here, isn't he? Just pushing buttons, stirring up emotion in so far Brahma and Shiva. Next, he went to that is the residence of Kiradakashaya Vishnu, the Lord who rests in the milk ocean, otherwise called Janardana. He's the Lord in the heart as well. And he approached the Supreme Lord, who was resting with his head in the lap of Goddess Shri, Lakshmi Devi. So quite a nice scene, nice meditation. Vishnu with his head resting in the lap of Goddess Lakshmi. And Brighu approached him and kicked him on the chest. So thus far, he offended Brahma by ignoring him, Shiva by refusing his embrace. But here, he has been physically violent with Lord Vishnu. Vishnu immediately rose up along with Goddess Lakshmi, and coming down from his bed where he had been resting, Lord Vishnu bowed his head to the floor before the tent. He said, "Welcome, dear Brahmana. Please sit in this chair and be rested. Kindly forgive us, dear Brahmana, for not noticing your arrival. And please purify us. Please purify me and my realm and the realms of the universal rulers who are devoted to me by giving us the water that has washed your lotus feet." He said, "The water that has washed the feet of the exalted soul, it makes all places of pilgrimage sacred." And he said, "Today I have become the exclusive shelter of Lakshmi Devi. She will consent to reside on my chest because you have placed your foot there, and you have purified my chest of any sin that may be there, and now Lakshmi, she will agree to reside there." Our acharyas say actually Lakshmi, she wasn't feeling very happy with what Brighu had done, and in fact, she made a curse on Brighu and the Brahmana, said, "I will never give my blessing. I won't stay with them because they have to offend my Lord." But that's another, it's not mentioned here in the Bhagavatam. It is mentioned by the acharyas. Sukadev Goswami says that Brighu felt very satisfied and delighted hearing the pleasing words spoken by Lord Vishnu. He was overwhelmed with spiritual ecstasy. He remained silent, and his eyes filled with tears. He felt something. And what was he feeling? He was feeling something most wonderful because he had received the compassion and kindness and forgiveness of Lord Vishnu. When we receive someone's kindness and love and compassion, we feel blessed. It's not even that we feel good, but we feel blessed. There's a sense of being touched by the divine. And Krishna, he is the source of all forgiveness and compassion. These qualities, they originate in him, they are close to him. And so, in his quest to determine the supreme deity, Brighu, he has provoked Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu, and has demonstrated the different responses to provocation. Brahma and Shiva, despite their great power, they showed anger. They managed to control it, but it was there. However, Vishnu's reaction stood out to him. Rather than reacting with anger, Vishnu uh, responded with humility and respect, even after being struck. And this act of forgiveness and grace has moved Brighu to tears. And so we have a sense here. We can get a sense, at least at a surface level. We can learn that true greatness lies not in your power or prestige, but in your capacity to forgive and show compassion, even when provoked. When we show humility and grace, forgiveness and compassion, we can inspire and bring peace to those around us. Forgiveness, compassion, these are divine qualities. They elevate the giver, they elevate the receiver, they lead us closer to our sense of connection with divine grace. Let's continue. Third section, the sage's conclusion. So Brighu, he returned to the bank of the Saraswati River, where those Vedic sages had assembled, and he told them of his experiment and of his findings. And these sages, they were amazed hearing Brigu's account, and they were freed from all doubt, and they became convinced that Vishnu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And they declared, from him comes peace, from him comes fearlessness, from him comes the eternal, essential principles of Dharma, from him comes knowledge, jnana, from him comes vairagya, from him comes the eightfold mystic powers, and by glorifying him, all conditioning, all impurity is purified. He is the supreme destination. He is the embodiment of Suddha Sattva, not just goodness, but pure goodness. So those who have Sumedha, keen intelligence, they attain spiritual peace by worshipping Vishnu without selfish motives. They said that the Lord expanded himself into three kinds of beings: the Rakshasas, the demons, and the demigods. Rakshasas would be tamas, the demons rajas in this analysis, and the demigods sattva, goodness. All are created of the Lord's energy, all are conditioned by her modes, but among these three modes, it is the mode of goodness, which is the means of attaining life's stability and peace in life, and pure goodness, which is transcendence. And so Sukadeva Goswami tells us, the learned Brahmanas along the bank of the Saraswati, they came to this conclusion, and they established it to dispel the doubts of all people. And they rendered devotional service to the Supreme Lord, Vishnu. They served at lotus feet and attained his eternal abode. Sutta Goswami, he tells us, he says, thus the nectar flowed. Thus this nectar narration flowed from the mouth of Sukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva. This wonderful glorification of the Supreme Person destroys all fear of material existence. A traveler who constantly drinks this nectar through their ears will forget the fatigue brought to them by wandering along the paths of worldly life. So we can reflect here. After Brighu Muni's return to the sacrificial arena, the sages heard of his experiences and they came to a conclusion. Vishnu is supreme. He is the source of all divine qualities. He is the ultimate destination. And they also showed us that, and Brighu's journey and the sage's conclusion showed us that experiences of peace and fearlessness come from connection with Vishnu, come from connection with Krishna. Krishna, Vishnu, they embody Suddha Sattva, pure goodness, the essential principles of Dharma. And when we worship them without selfish motive, we experience it. Our heart is purified. We experience a sense of liberation, an awakening of pure love. And so having spiritual experiences is important. We hear from Shastra, we apply our intelligence as well, but experiencing the effects of connecting with Krishna in japa, in kirtan, in Bhagavat Shravan, and so on is important as well. That's where we get realization. When we apply the learning and we experience that peace, satisfaction, happiness, then it reinforces our philosophical understanding as mature realization. So let's conclude with a prayer to summarize. Beloved Krishna, Supreme Lord of pure goodness, we come before you with open hearts. Even the greatest sages can find themselves in doubt and disagreement. May we learn from their humility and relentless pursuit of truth, understanding that sincere questions, deep reflection, and spiritual experience illuminate our spiritual journey. O merciful one, Brighu Muni's tests of the Trimurti remind us that we can experience your greatness and divinity in your boundless capacity to forgive and show compassion. Teach us to embody these divine qualities, to inspire peace and love, and to realize and to rise above the clutches of the false ego. The sage recognized you as the supreme source of all divine qualities, transcending your nature. From you flow experiences of peace, forgiveness, and dharma. Help us to worship you with pure devotion, free from selfish motives, and cleanse our hearts with the nectar of your narrations. Guide us to the ultimate destination, eternal service in your divine abode, Sri Vrindavan Dham. Wonderful. Thank you again for being with me today, with us, the Sangha, for this discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam. Let me acknowledge some of you who joined just as I was starting to speak or thereafter. And in the meantime, if you have any questions or reflections, comments, questions, please do put those into the chat and we can explore further. So this is Hari Bol for Sri Gandharvika Dasi, my friend, my dear wife and best friend here in New York City. Thank you for joining us and for encouraging and supporting me in this service. Joining us, I would say from Thailand, says you not believe me. Okay, so I'm not sure what that's about, but thank you for joining us anyway. Krishangi joins us from Sydney, Australia. Krishangi says, Hare Krishna. Thanks for joining, Krishangi. Great to have you with us. So it questions your eyes to bringing my darshan, maybe? Buddha, Purusha, Prakriti, Paramatman. Okay, some nice Sanskrit words. So thanks for joining us and for your contributions here. Janavamata joining us from Dunedin in the South Island of New Zealand says, Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Thanks for being with us, Janavamata. Grateful to have you here. And then Kirtida says, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Kirtida. Shama Manjari says, thanks, Prabhuji, for your association. Beautiful class and prayer. Appreciated. You are most welcome. Shama Manjari. Just switching over here to Instagram and seeing what comments. We have Anup Goswami who says, Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Anup Goswami. Otherwise, any other comments? Ritvik Yadav says, quite a nice stream. Thanks, Ritvik Yadav. Grateful to have you with us. Dancing Daniel Das says, Haribol Sri Prahlad Prabhuji. Thank you for joining us. Grateful to have you here. Bhagavatam has changed his name. Awesome. Bhagavatam, that's a much better name. I like that much better. Very, very good. Very happy to call you Bhagavatam. So thanks for joining. Hey, Gaur Shakti joining us from San Diego says Shri P. Shri P, short for Shri Palad. Gaur Shakti, my dear friend and brother, thanks for joining. Kartamashi Das also here with us. Thanks for joining, Kartamashi. Grateful to have your association. Prema Dancing Butterfly is also with us. That's wonderful. Prema Dancing Butterfly. Grateful to have your association. Shiv Urmalia says, Hare Krishna Prabhu, Shiv here from Night, Mumbai. Yeah, you were saying, or someone was saying earlier how very, very early in the morning it is there. Must be like 2 a.m. And Krishna Bhakt says, AM from India, disciple of Gopal Krishna Goswami Guru Maharaj. Krishna Bhakt 2299. Thank you for joining. Krishna Bhakt also says, Jai Prabhupada. Okay, so grateful to have your association. Love Nature Life 7 also joined us from New York City. And then Dancing Danielda says, Sri Pala Prabhuji, I missed the start of the stream. From which verse are you reading today? Okay, so we are discussing chapter 89, and it was verses 1 through to 20. And it was a discussion on the story of Brighu's test. Canto 10, chapter 89, verses 1 through to 20. You can find the whole recording. It will be posted on YouTube, otherwise my Facebook page as well. All right, so thank you all so much for joining. May you deepen your appreciation and taste for hearing and chanting. Okay, a couple of others here. We need to say hello to Alicia joining us from Auckland, New Zealand. Alicia says, Hare Krishna Prabhu, I'm watching from work. Thanks, Alicia. Great to have you with us. Always happy to see you. And I think I might see you in person in September. Dhanavamata says, wonderful class, beautiful prayer. Thank you, as always, for sharing the nectar with us. I especially like the point you made about divine qualities, giving us the experience of the divine. Always inspiring to experience the truth in a tangible way. Thank you for acknowledging that point, Dhanavamata. Yeah, I think it's a nice way. I mean, it was a nice insight that I got from this pastime, that it wasn't just Vishnu's response, which showed how he transcended anger, but it was also what happened to Brighu. Brighu felt peace. He tears came to his eyes. So he had an experience of the divine in Vishnu's response of forgiveness and humility. And so there's something there about the experience, because he's going out on this experimental journey to identify who God is based on his experience of these interactions. And then that's something that we can all relate to when we chant, hear, remember, glorify, we experience happiness, peace, satisfaction. And similarly, when we experience love and kindness and compassion, we also feel we are touched, we're moved by a sense of wonderment and awe and a sense of the divine. So yeah, thank you for acknowledging that, Olavalata. Dancing Danielda says, thank you so much, and all glories to your service. Thank you all. Thank you. May you deepen your taste for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. May you deepen your taste for chanting the holy name with attention and love and devotion. May you deepen your taste and appreciation for serving Sri Vigraha, Krishna in his deity form, for serving the Dham, the places where Krishna resides and is served in his deity form, or other sacred holy places. May you deepen your appreciation of Vaishnavas. May you cultivate deep, loving relationships with Vaishnavas, because it is through the association and love of the Vaishnavas that we receive and cultivate and nurture the seeds of bhakti. And through these practices, may you experience a softening of your heart. May your heart be moved with grace and love that compels you to share the treasures of bhakti with others as well. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhaktarinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari.